Welcome, y'all. It's Wes with DIY Food Plot Pro. Thank you so much for joining us. Today's episode, we're talking about a great place to kill your target buck in the next 2 weeks here in the mid to late October period. We're out on one of the farms that we did quite a bit of work on last fall, and this farm has really come along nicely. Now, we've not run any cameras here. We don't have any intel here, but past history tells us this is a phenomenal spot. We're going to break down exactly what makes this a phenomenal spot, and we're going to show you what you're looking for in public land or on your private land of high quality spots that you can target mature bucks in mid to late October on your farm. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set the stage here. Behind you is a crop field. It's in corn this year. It's not been harvested yet. We were very wet in the early spring, and so a lot of the crops went in late. Everything obviously is coming out late as well. So a great area to blow our wind is into a standing crop, such as corn. It's a low likelihood of deer being out there. They 100% are out there. It's not the same as when that crop has been harvested and those whitetails flock to feed out there. So we got a standing crop field behind us. We've got a little edge right here. We've got a creek running along this side. And what makes this spot significant is the change of habitat, right? Because whitetails are a creature that likes to live on the edges. And what we have here, we have multiple things going for this spot to make this a high quality spot. But one of the big things that we have going on is there's a lot of edges here. We have a crop field to mature timber, right? You can see where I'm standing right now, extremely mature timber, but it's only for a small strip. And then all of a sudden we go back 10, 15 yards and we go into a full on clear cut. Now this clear cut is only 1 year old. Not going to walk back in there through that during this time just because I don't want to spook a whole bunch of deer off and pressure that area any whatsoever. But that is a clear cut. Within the next 2 to 3 years, that's going to grow up and going to be absolutely phenomenal doe bedding areas. What we are doing right here, we're on the edge of a travel corridor between the mature woods and the crop field. And then we're also on the edge of mature hardwoods versus a very good thicket, okay? So we're stacking the odds in our favor on this spot. Now, another thing that really makes this spot stand out and makes this extremely good for that mid to late October time period when the bucks really start to roam, you really can't see this, but this whole area forms down to a pinch. We have a lot of timber back this way, and back this way, it's more open ag country, right? So it kind of follows the river, follows the creek, follows the ditch, but not a significant amount of woods for a pretty good long stretch. But there is a huge amount of woods about 1.5 miles that way. Hooks right onto this. This makes this a huge travel corridor for bucks going to the bottoms to eat, coming back to bed. And then for those bucks that are roaming right now, putting down their sign, finding all the doe beds, getting ready for the upcoming rut, this is a phenomenal place. To enhance this spot even more, this would be a phenomenal place to go out and to put a mock scrape on the edge of this clear cut. That edge is going to be a buck and doe magnet anyway, just because deer really like being right on the edge of that thicket. When I'm out consulting on properties during the wintertime, a lot of people will ask me, well, will they travel right through the heart of the thickest stuff? And they certainly will, especially if pressure's on. But generally what deer like to do is they like to run right on the edge. And I think they do that because they can get to cover quickly if they need to. But they would much rather travel that area where it's not so hard to walk through. And I've got some videos this year where they did a bunch of TSI and FSI work on the farms and had deer walking through some of these areas. And I mean, it was just a nightmare for them. You could tell it was like they were jumping hurdles on the track. It was just constantly trying to get over. Deer don't want to do that. They will do that to get an advantage for the wind. They will do that if they're scared and they're pressured. But for the most part, deer would rather walk right on the edge of that extremely thick stuff, but still be in more of an open land setting to where if they see or sense danger, they are one bound away and they are in the woods. This area brings up a great point for whitetail managers and hunters and landowners when we are trying to improve our property. I'm going to make a video about this coming up pretty soon, but I want to kind of touch base on this real quick. A lot of folks, when they start managing their property and managing their habitat, they want to go out and they want to do a bunch of TSI, which is great. That's phenomenal to get sunlight on the ground, put a lot of groceries at deer level, and also put a lot of cover at deer level. But if we don't do these in the right places, it all of a sudden turns a great situation into a great situation, but a terrible hunting spot. Because if you have a 100-acre farm and you went in and you just cut the entire 100-acre farm, you are no doubt going to have older age class bucks move in on that property. You're going to have more deer on that property. It's going to be a phenomenal sanctuary, but it's going to be extremely hard to hunt if you just cut a solid 100 acres of timber. That's very, very, very difficult to cut. So I think that's where this kind of makes sense, is when we are designing and building these properties, we are setting these up in a way that we certainly have a lot of these clear cuts and a lot of these FSI and TSI areas on the properties, but we also set these up in a way that we can hunt them. And that's very, very, very key in this, is being able to hunt and take advantage of that habitat manipulation that we're doing, right? We are trying to help the whitetails as much as we possibly can and give them as much cover, but we also want to be able to hunt them effectively on that property. It does us no good to have a giant buck right in the middle of a 300-acre clear cut when we can't get to him to hunt it. It's great to have him on the property, maybe to get pictures of him, but if you can't get to him to hunt, then you're up a creek without a paddle. So it's very important in that process to make sure that you can hunt. And when you're designing that farm and designing those bedding areas in the FSI and the TSI areas, that you can hunt these areas, that you're making pinch points, that you're making funnels, that you're making these bedding areas in areas that you can access from your stand location. That's another thing that this area has going for it. We can literally jump in this creek and be at this funnel without disturbing any deer that are in these woods right here. And that's a phenomenal thing. We can walk 100 yards and be in our stand and never bump a single deer, period. Access, location, edges, a pinch point, food source. We've got everything we need here to harvest a mature buck in mid to late October. If you need help setting up your deer hunting farms, you can go to my website, www.diyfoodplotpro.com. I will come to your farm this winter. We will walk it. We will make a detailed plan with FSI, TSI, bedding cuts, access routes, travel corridors, stand and blind locations, mock scrapes, water holes, the whole 9 yards. When I leave that property, you will have everything you need in the form of a binder that shows you exactly how to take that farm and raise the bar and make it the very best farm in the neighborhood. So if that's something that interests you, you can go to www.diyfoodplotpro.com. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Y'all smash that like and subscribe button.